Folks, the Iran situation is getting more and more serious by the minute. I've been keeping you up to date with everything going on in Dubai. But beyond that, this conflict is developing. It is developing in very strange and confusing, surprising new directions. And we're now seeing some very interesting developments around the world. So I'm going to fill you in on all of that in this video. And the first thing that I want to show you here is a very interesting cyber attack. Okay, there's been cyber attacks going on all around the world. So Iranian state TV has been completely hijacked, and they've been basically getting, hacked broadcasts from the US and Israel. So this is Iranian state TV getting hijacked, with regular programming being replaced by videos of Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu urging Iranians to rise up against the Islamic Republic regime. So obviously it's not in English, but you get the gist, okay? People are saying, yes, because Netanyahu is the most convincing person for Iranians. It's like Putin would convince the Ukrainians to do revolution. And it doesn't seem like that revolution has actually taken place. And I was just talking to someone about this and just saying it's interesting how, the Iranians, they wanted to have their revolution a minute ago. I believe around 60,000 protesters were actually killed to stop that happening. But unfortunately, it makes you think, are Iranians going to be inspired to die for Bibi Netanyahu? Are people really going to get out on the streets? Are some of the biggest revolutionaries that would have been down to make this coup happen, are they already dead? It's really, really interesting and unusual, and it's got people wondering, is this actually going to go anywhere? People saying it's like getting commercials during your shows. It's just going to make you hate your products even more. They're saying, why doesn't Israel send in the troops? Well, they're busy doing very bad things in Gaza, allegedly. Okay, they're saying United States of Israel, don't take advice from them, all right? Look, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I just think that is pretty crazy that that's happening, and it's also pretty crazy that this revolution hasn't really surfaced, and if it doesn't, I think it's going to be very, very disturbing what happens next. Now, amid the chaos of the conflict, a really crazy thing that's been going around is a US jet was actually apparently struck by friendly fire, and a missile hit it over Kuwait, and there's a video of this US jet
Jeffrey Epstein
crashing out the sky here. Right. That's a very, very expensive plane falling out of the sky right now, okay? That's what you're seeing. Millions of dollars just falling out of the sky.
لا والله حربية طيارة حربية طيارة حربية شوف 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 شوف
Oh dear.
شوف 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 يا واحد شوف
So we're seeing footage of the pilot parachuting out of the plane in Kuwait.
1 minute.
This is an American pilot actually being evacuated in the trunk of a car by random Kuwaitis. Poor guy. That is a fighter pilot. Thinking, how the hell did I end up here? You're probably wondering how I got here. That is a crazy story. Fortunately, he looked like he was okay and he survived that horrible ejection, I guess, and that crash. Fortunately, he wasn't part of the crash. But there's a lot of combat equipment that's kind of going wrong. Some Iranian missiles have apparently been malfunctioning. They're saying this is a Iranian ballistic missile launch mishap, where the missile is going off course. It's spiraling, much like the leadership on all sides of this conflict, and it seems to be crashing into the ground, likely in Iran. So it's hurt itself in confusion. And that's definitely something that's been a constant throughout this conflict. It's been pretty crazy. So there's been a lot of people saying the missile doesn't know where it is because the missile does not know where it's not. Okay. And they're saying, could you put your seatbelt on at least? All right. I'm not sure they're really caring about the seatbelts in Iran. They've got bigger fish to fry. But unfortunately for Israel, they have essentially... I'm gonna be careful because I don't want to show you there's some grisly stuff in this next clip, but I'm going to avoid showing you the grisly part of it. But unfortunately, a lot of the missiles that have been fired from Iran have actually caused massive damage to Israel. Israel is taking some pretty serious fire.
Okay, we've now raced to another scene. Take a look at this. If you see my video right above, we just saw them pull another body out. I think that makes it 5.
So there's 5 bodies that have been pulled out of the wreckage here in Israel. I won't play the rest of the clip because it actually does show you some gruesome aftermath of this attack. But Israel are receiving some pretty serious casualties. It's really unfortunate. And this is war. This is war. They waged war, and it goes both ways. And there have apparently been some pretty serious retaliatory attacks on Israel and beyond. So we've also got Hezbollah that have actually entered the fight. Basically, they've launched a direct attack on Israel, and they apparently instantly got hit with a heavy retaliation, with Israel striking Beirut, and residents would actually be fleeing Lebanon. So essentially, a lot of these countries that are kind of doing dealings and in alliances with Iran, a lot of them have issues with Israel. Obviously, it's not just Gaza and Palestine that are in this long-running conflict with Israel. These conflicts are very interconnected and find over there, and now we're kind of seeing more of these little side battles going on. And there's retaliation, there's get back, and Israel are definitely not taking any of this lightly. And as we know, if they're hit, they tend to hit back very, very hard indeed.
اوكي بهي اللحظات عم نتعرض لغارات جويه من قبل الطيران الاسرائيلي. غارتين هون وغارات بهديك الميله، غارات عنيفه جدا داخل الضاحيه الجنوبيه لبيروت.
طولي بالك يلا قربي فيني مفتاح السيارة. ما في سيارة أصلا يا كريم، ما في سيارة، ما بتقطع. هاي الضربة هون، هاي الضربة.
يا ساتر يا رب. ايه هون
Big explosions going on in the city there. So, there's a lot of very, very extreme firepower that's kind of being brought out in this conflict. And, we're seeing countries using weapons that, we'd never even heard of before. Obviously, when Trump did his little move in his little play in Venezuela, that led a lot of people to basically say that, they're using these supersonic weapons that have just never even been heard of before. We've got residents fleeing in Lebanon, strikes on weapon sites by Israel, and it is just causing chaos in the city, bumper-to-bumper traffic. Nobody's going anywhere. Those ambulances aren't getting anywhere. It's really, really messed up. Just absolute bumper-to-bumper chaos, and nobody is going to be able to go anywhere. Everybody's a sitting duck. It just makes no sense. I'm also confused as to why they're using both sides of the road going one direction there. It's quite literally just a one-way scenario. So, unfortunately, it's not a one-way street, unlike the street that we just saw in that video. There have been casualties on the US side of things. Apparently, according to reports, a total of 4 US military personnel have actually died so far since these strikes begun. And it does go to show you... It just goes to show you that, it's not just America just, bullying everyone else in the whole world. There are, unfortunately, reactions to these actions, and American lives have been lost as a result.
As the president warned, an effort of this scope will include casualties. War is hell, and always will be. A grateful nation honors the 4 Americans we have lost thus far and those injured. The absolute best of America. As the president warned, an effort of...
So he's saying war is hell, and casualties are part of what's going on. That's... the leader of the Department of War, the Department of Hell, is definitely very, very unfortunate. Now, Israel has actually been escalating its attacks on Iran. They are planning to bring more hell to the people, all right? This is the Israeli fire belt airstrikes, apparently gunning for the heart of Tehran, that are going around, and these are some pretty serious strikes.
هیچکی هم تو خونه هانی همه در رفتن. اومد اونا دیدی؟ اومد موشک از اینجا میاد، از سمت چپ بیاد. اومد اومد. از اینجا میاد از اینجا.
So it's terrifying scenes, just airstrikes coming in. People are just frantic, trying to find out what's going on. They're saying it's 3 missiles coming from the left. And they basically just need to get out of there. People saying, God, it will be such a mess. So many airstrikes in an urban development. People saying, we know how careful Israel is with civilian casualties. Sarcasm detected there. Basically, they're just not, they're not playing around. They're saying, is it smoke or dust? All the videos from Iran have enormous clouds of dust after every big explosion. It says if you shatter bricks and concrete, there's going to be a whole lot of dust. Now, analysts are basically warning that the entire Middle East is on the absolute brink of an all-out regional war. The fact that the UAE and Dubai have been getting attacked, this is just out of control. No one could have ever predicted anything being this serious. And they're saying it's all about to break out into absolute chaos in the Middle East. And there's even fears for Australia's fuel reserves. All these countries are going to be fighting over fuel. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. China apparently are not getting the fuel and the gas that they're looking to get, and the oil. And this really does have the makings of a potential World War III if some of these things play out how people think. So look at this news clip just about how the conflict in the Middle East has been escalating between all these countries.
More countries are being drawn into the Middle East war as Iran declares it will not negotiate, despite Donald Trump vowing to destroy the regime. Explosions have been rocked a British base on Cyprus, and there are evacuations in Lebanon, with Israel bombing Beirut after Hezbollah joined the bloodshed. Iran is not letting up, firing more missiles and drones, hitting airports and an oil tanker, triggering more travel chaos. Thousands of Australians remain stranded in the region with their holiday plans in disarray. Chief reporter Chris Reason is live in Tel Aviv and begins our comprehensive coverage.
Determined to avenge the death of its leader, Iran fires back. In Beit Shemesh, Israel, a school, synagogue, homes and a bomb shelter flattened. It's where dozens sought shelter but became a target.
We had children inside this building, young children.
9 killed, 27 injured, and Iran's fierce retaliation kept coming. Waves of missiles targeting Jerusalem. Israel is Iran's main target, but it's firing beyond in a fierce counterattack, striking a US airbase in Kuwait, killing 3 American soldiers, another in northern Iraq. In the UAE,
We've just been hit by a drone. It stinks of oil in here. I didn't even finish my cup of tea.
3 more civilian deaths. Oman also targeted. Its commercial port and an oil tanker off its coast hit. Last week, the Omanis had been brokering a peace deal for Iran.
Defending ourselves, and we have every right, every legitimate right to defend ourselves. What the United States is doing is an act of aggression.
On state TV, showing off their arsenal of drones and rocket launchers, an underground tunnel adorned by flags and images of the late supreme leader. This Iranian missile fired into Tel Aviv, tore through an apartment block, blowing it to pieces with families inside.
Hello?
One woman was killed here, but dozens survived.
But we're kind of happy for this shit in Iran that happened.
You're happy, even though this is the result.
This is the result. This is the price that we need to pay. But of the future seemed to be much more scary, you know, if it wouldn't happen.
The key question now as the death toll and the devastation mount is how much longer can this conflict continue? Whether it's days, weeks or longer, it might not be an issue of political support, but munitions supplies.
Both sides only have a finite number of missiles, likely only enough for 4 weeks of war. It follows this, one of America and Israel's first strikes of the conflict, bombing Iran's military headquarters, a move that has ignited deep divisions within that country. Many are celebrating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's death, hoping it triggers a regime collapse. But others mourn the loss of their supreme leader. Thousands defy.
So look, people are still very, very upset about what happened to the Ayatollah, all right? And, you know, we're seeing these huge scenes of people protesting. That's quite a lot of people. That's quite a lot of upset, angry people that, you know, everybody's going to have to answer to. Now, even Saudi Arabia's massive oil refineries have now been dragged directly into the crossfire. Saudi Aramco, one of possibly the most valuable business in the universe, has been under attack. And they're basically going to destroy the Saudi oil. The Saudi Arabians aren't going to be very happy. And Iran are basically just taking out anything. They're taking out the 7-star hotels in Dubai, the most valuable Saudi oil companies in the world. They're not letting up. You know, they're not just being rolled over, and this revolution that we're waiting for has not happened.
You this hour to Nick Robertson, who is in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, where, Nick, the Defense Ministry has just released a statement that 2 drones were intercepted and destroyed at one of its largest oil refineries. Nick, the Ras Tanura refinery is hugely economically significant. What do we know at this point?
Yeah, it's a very massive, sprawling facility. I've been there on a number of occasions before. It covers a vast area and is very important to Saudi Arabia's economy. It can produce capacity about 500,000 barrels of oil a day. That's a significant number. What we're hearing from the spokesman at the Ministry of Defense here is that 2 drones were intercepted as they were flying towards that, or in the vicinity of that refinery. These drones were intercepted. Debris fell. There are no casualties. And the spokesperson saying that this falling debris lit a fire in the area.
I do think it's interesting because we keep hearing about, well, drones are being intercepted, they're being intercepted, but falling debris is catching fires in the area and then destroying large sections of oil refineries. The debris shooting down the drone doesn't really completely solve the problem.
This is obviously an area of concern for Saudi Arabia, thinking here of the the foreign ministerial level GCC virtual meeting that happened yesterday, a joint statement from those GCC foreign ministers talking about a very strong diplomatic signal saying that they had the right to take all necessary measures to protect their security and stability. So it comes within that context. Very clear diplomatic messages being sent from the Gulf states to Iran, and that fits in with the picture of the attacks that were witnessed over the past 36 hours in the Gulf.
The Strait of Hormuz, a major shipping route in the Middle East, is under threat, and the oil tanker Skylight was struck off the coast of Oman. Now, these strikes have caused oil to rise by nearly 9% during trading today. U.S. stock futures are also rattled, taking a dive before trading begins this morning. Now, CNN business and economics reporter Anna Kubin joins us now from London. This happened over the weekend, obviously, but now markets can react. Can you talk about what you're seeing?
Yes,
So look, it's crazy, right? The markets are in absolute free fall. The futures, you know, people are going to be shorting the market, all kinds of things that are going on. It is actually insane. So the price of oil is going up. The price of stocks probably going to go down, unless they're weapon stocks, unless they're, I see Chevron was up pretty nicely today. I don't know. But basically, okay, the region's massive energy sector, all the Middle East was where a lot of the oil comes from. Okay, it's beginning to completely shut down. Some of those tankers are being taken out, not able to deliver what they were supposed to. And this is basically apparently going to rattle the entire global economy. Your gas prices are going up, people.
Well, Al Jazeera is live in Tehran, Beirut, Ramallah. We're also live at the White House in the U.S., Westminster in the U.K., and right here in Doha, the Qatari capital. Zain Basravi has the developments across the Gulf. Zain, this breaking news, we found out just minutes ago that not only has Iran targeted energy infrastructure really across the region, but Qatar is saying it is suspending production of LNG, liquefied natural gas, which is its major resource.
This is the very moment that we can say that this conflict now will almost certainly have global ramifications. The energy sector in this part of the world, Qatar with its liquid natural gas, Saudi with its massive oil exports, really every country in this region is in some way intrinsic to the global energy market. The Strait of Hormuz, of course, 20% of the world's energy goes through that strait. That is in peril now. This is the moment. 3 days into this conflict, it was already a certainty that this would have some kind of ramifications, but the global ramifications that will be felt by people all over the world when they're fueling their cars, when they're beginning to pay their bills, we can mark this as the moment where that begins.
So Qatar is basically, intercepting drones targeting their energy facilities. They've basically stopped production of, all liquefied natural gas and associated products due to the attacks on their facilities. They can't get the gas. They can't process it because they're being attacked by drones. It's going to be a big problem. And now the situation in the Middle East is clearly about to escalate insanely because this has now been issued. It says the U.S. State Department is urging all Americans to depart now. More than a dozen Middle Eastern countries are on the list. They're saying, get out of there. It is over with. And we're even seeing in some of the places that we thought this was so 2003. But now there's heavy gunfire and clashes reported in Baghdad's green zone, and pro-Iranian regime protests are continuing in Baghdad. It's a throwback. So look, the Middle East is just chaotic right now, okay? I'm going to update you guys when I get some more information. It is pretty crazy. Obviously, the markets in the West did open today. So I was seeing some stuff up today in the West. I think some people maybe were feeling like, okay, this is a show of power for the West. The Dubai, UAE stock market was closed. They don't really want to see all that stuff go into the red. And I think as this escalates in the next few days, I think we could be seeing gas prices go up. Could be seeing American stocks go down. A lot of people, your Palantirs, your Nvidias, your Chevrons, they've been going up today because they're actually going to be invaluable in this war effort. But a lot of people are going to make money off the war. A lot of people are going to lose everything, including their lives. It's really sad. Okay, but I'll keep you guys updated as I get more information about this. I've been tracking this really closely. I've been refreshing X pretty frequently throughout the day. And yeah, I'm just really trying to piece all of this together with you guys. So I hope you found that update useful. I'll keep you guys posted if I hear anything else. But until next time, I'm out for now. And I will be back probably late tomorrow with a couple updates on both Epstein and David. And if there are new updates on this, I will be sure to keep you informed.